When the world as we knew and trusted came to an end, neither grand monuments nor dusty libraries remained. All that was left were the small, cold, smooth black panes of glass that fit in our palms. Ever present. We called them phones, but they were actually the birthplace of the strangest and most poignant generation in history, the era of black mirrors. Think of that split second when you turn off your screen amidst the chaos of daily life. When the screen goes dark and that artificial light fades. Have you ever locked eyes with the stranger staring back at you in the reflection? This generation lives on that uncanny threshold between two worlds, at the very intersection of a luminous simulation and a shadowed reality. They are both the subjects and the observers of the greatest psychological and spiritual experiment history has ever seen. To those who label Gen Z as anxious, detached, or superficial, there is a massive truth you are missing. This generation was born into an empire of noise, where even a single second of silence is forbidden, and every void is forcibly filled with data. When you see a young person putting on headphones to mute the world, you might think they are just listening to music or escaping. In reality, they are modern dervishes, fleeing the savage invasion of collective noise to seek refuge in their inner temple, that silent cellar where no one can reach them. Their deep internal ache is not a malfunction of their nervous system. Rather, it is the most honest response to a system trying to feed the soul with synthetic light. They have learned to look past the shimmer of the reflection and into the vast, bottomless void behind that black glass. For they know, what is real is not what they see when the screen is on, but that tired yet wise shadow looking back at them when the screen is off. This is not a generation gap. This is the story of the human spirit seeking its own freedom, its own ancient frequency within a digital prison. They are the last fortress standing on the brink of oblivion, trying against all odds to remember, the secret guardians of light behind the black glass. It would be a mistake to think of Gen Z merely as a mirror. They are prisms. The traditional world sent them a single, dull, gray beam of light. Obey the rules, be a cog in the machine, and wait your turn. But the moment that light hit them, it fractured into thousands of different, indefinable frequencies. They are the children of a fluid reality, refusing to fit into a single identity, a single gender, a single career, or a single life. Those strange outfits you encounter, the ever-changing hair colors, the new slang you can't quite grasp. These aren't just fashion trends. They are acts of optical rebellion. They are saying, we do not accept the dull, gray reality you project onto us. We take it, we break it, and we refract it into our own spiritual colors. A mirror only reflects what is given to it. A prism, however, changes the light. It bends it and transforms it into a brand new form. This is why the system labels them unfocused or indecisive, because the system wants light to travel in a straight line. Yet the prism generation seeks to feel the entire spectrum simultaneously. Instead of standing still and aging in front of a single mirror, they are building a new, multi-dimensional universe for themselves, out of 1,000 broken shards. That silent crowd you see today, in streets, cafes, or subways, buried in their phones. They are the protagonists of a massive game of the showcase and the shadow. What psychologists call context collapse is, for this generation, a survival strategy. The digital world is their showcase. There, they display their most flawless, aesthetic, curated reflections. This is the price the world demands of them, to be on display. But their true essence remains hidden in the shadows behind that showcase. For older generations, honesty meant what you see is what you get. But in an age where everything is recorded and every mistake is archived forever, that is synonymous with suicide. For this generation, honesty is showing your deepest, most wounded parts only to those who deserve it, to those who join you in that dark shadow. The stoic, sometimes indifferent mask they wear in daily life is actually a shield protecting the sacred privacy of their souls. When a young person looks at their phone while with you, it doesn't necessarily mean they are being disrespectful. Their body is simply standing in your decaying showcase, while their soul has already migrated to a kingdom of shadows, a place where reflections cease to exist. There is a symbol the system, which labels them lazy or fragile, fails to understand. The inverted hourglass. Gen Z realized very early on that time no longer moves in that old linear fashion. For them, time is not a commodity sold to pay bills. It is existence itself, the soul's only capital. In the eyes of a young person staring into space in a classroom or a soul-crushing corporate office, a profound message is hidden. This game of time you've built is rigged. They grew up watching the millennial generation do everything right, only to end up burnt out and discarded. And they made a silent pact. They would not become that tired, soulless silhouette in the mirror. Quitting a job abruptly, refusing a responsibility, or simply saying no is not entitlement. It is an act of reclaiming their internal time from the system's stopwatch. They are the ones who flip the hourglass. If the future is uncertain and the world is burning, then now is sacred. This is the greatest passive resistance the modern world has ever seen. Refusing to be a slave to matter and returning to the sanctity of time. Gen Z is the first resonance chamber generation in human history. They are no longer just isolated individuals. They are parts of a massive collective nervous system, where one person's pain echoes instantly through the entire network. The high anxiety diagnoses we see in daily life actually stem from them being exposed nerve endings. Through a screen, they feel the cry of a child on the other side of the world, the burning of a forest, or the weight of an injustice in their very marrow. Older generations would watch these tragedies on the evening news, feel sad, and return to their dinner. This generation sleeps with that pain. They wake up with it. Their mirror reflects not just their own faces, but the open wound of all humanity. This is why they are exhausted. This fatigue isn't just a lack of sleep. It is the sacred and heavy weariness of carrying the noise and grief of 8 billion people in one soul. They are like innocent victims, reflecting the sins of the world and crumbling under their weight. And finally, the Great Awakening. Everyone fears the breaking of the mirror, associating it with bad luck and the end. Yet truth begins with the shattering of that black glass, the dissolving of the illusion. They are remembering that their value cannot be contained in a like count or an algorithm score. They are remembering that the soul is too ancient, too deep, and too indivisible to be described by pixels. In the soulless rush of daily life, when a young person suddenly stops to look at the sky, touches the bark of a tree, or looks into a stranger's eyes as if to say, "I am here." In that moment, the mirror breaks. When they stop being slaves to the reflection and discover that they are the ones reflecting, that they are the true source of light, the reign of the simulation will end. They are no longer condemned to those dark black mirrors designed by others. Now, slowly set aside that artificial glow. Close your eyes and remember, you are not that tired image inside the glass. You are the infinite and immortal light holding that glass, capable of shattering it at any moment, to wake up to your own truth. Remember, you are the awakening itself.